How you been?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Very well. All right, talk to me. What's it like on the line?
Man, it's going well. Especially for me. I mean, year two, I'm so much more comfortable, so much more confident in myself. Last year was definitely kind of eye-opening. I was kind of just, honestly, I was out there kind of just trying to figure it all out. Shout out to Zack. He was the one kind of, teaching me how to play last year. But, this year I'm just so much more confident. We have a great group of guys to be around, very smart players. And, the cohesion together is something we're really building. I think that's something, you can see out here at training camp. Just us playing together is really showing, and I think that's going to, help us come season.
What do you think has helped make it click for you this time around? Is it that cohesion?
Yeah, absolutely. Just those continued reps you get together, you kind of figure out, how dudes block, how dudes pass set and those kind of things. And, you're able to kind of base, what I do based off, what the guys do around me. And that's just something you have to learn through continued reps. And that's something, that's going to carry you, pretty far.
What's something that you've really taken from Zack Martin?
I think just the leadership aspects. One of the things I thought, at times I struggled with was being vocal, being confident, especially being the center, commanding that offensive line and the offense in general. That was something that, he kind of harped into me, like, man, you just got to go out there, play confident, make an ID. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But as long as we're all on the same page, going the same way, like, we'll be fine. And I think that was one of the biggest steps I've taken just in the leadership aspect.
You and Dak have a connection kind of like no other. Like, physically, you guys are some of the closest people on the field. What has that been like? What have you been learning from him?
Oh, I mean, he's just a phenomenal person, phenomenal athlete. And really, I think the biggest thing for me is just continuing to understand just the game of football. I'll ask him different times, like, hey, what told you that, this safety was going to come down in the fit, different things like that I continue to learn that's going to help me just improve as a center. But just his understanding of the game is just unreal, and that's something that, he's kind of pouring into me. So when I go out there, I can see the same things the same way he does.
How different is the room this year, if at all, with Coach Riley leading the meetings, and what's it like playing for him?
Well, for me, it's just like old times, getting him back, especially having Clayton as well. I think one of the big things, especially in our meeting room, it's a lot more interactive. He's going to ask a lot of questions. He wants that group participation just to make sure, you don't know what you don't know. You got to ask questions. You got to know, more than just your position. And I think that's something that, he's trying to push. You're not just a left tackle. I'm not just a center. Like, I got to know everything else, how people are playing, that different thing. I think that's something, he's done really well.
Do you think he's leaning on you just because when you have a relationship like that and you kind of have like a shorthand, I would think maybe, because so is he depending on you to maybe help communicate even more to some of the younger guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, just obviously being here last year, I kind of got the rundown on how things work. And, he continues like, hey, how'd you guys do it, last year? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? To try to make it, as similar as you can as last year. But, yeah, he definitely leans on me to kind of, help those younger guys.
How much has the communication improved with you and Dak now that this is another year for you two together?
Tremendously. I think one of the things, just talked about is that confidence and that understanding of not just our offense, but, what our defense is trying to do. And that's something I think that's really clicked for me. Just this year, I'm so much more comfortable, seeing the different fronts, how are they going to move, what may tell me a backer's coming. I think that's something that's been huge for me, is just being able to see defenses and understand, what we're trying to do on offense and what they're trying to do to stop it. I think it's really helped me.
Can you speak to the Hero Appreciation Day and getting to interact with everybody there at the end and just with the flower before? Just talk a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, it's just phenomenal. I mean, these men and women, put their lives on the line, so we can come out here and play football. And, you just love those type of people, man. You can't give enough appreciation for them. It was so cool, going through the line, just getting to talk to them. The flyover before practice was really sweet. But, I mean, it's just an honor, getting to meet those men and women, just, how thankful, we are to be able to do what we do today because of them.